Welcome back to KC Talks EV, and yes, it's finally time to talk about my ZS EV at 60,000 miles. In the previous video, so the It's Fixed video, which you can go have a look at here, essentially I did talk a little bit about the 50,000 mile sort of update video, I guess, and in this video I'm just about to brief you a little bit more about the cost between 40 and 50,000 miles. I'm also going to be talking about the cost between 50 and 60,000 miles, some issues that have cropped up with the car, which I have or trying to resolve at the moment. And then finally, what are we expecting over the next 10,000 miles? So without further ado, let's get started. To start off with, let's have a look at cost. So I do have the full table here, which will bring together all of the previous mile update videos. So between 40 and 50,000 miles, my total cost was £316.55. Now, this is an average cost of 3.2 pence per mile. Now, that has actually gone up. It has an increase of 43.8%. Not as much as previous times. I'll discuss that in a moment. And then the 50 to 60,000 mile mark, it cost me £451.85, so an average of 4.5 pence per mile. Now, you may be wondering, well, what are the reasons for these increases? So between 40 and 50,000 miles at least, or at least the difference between those two, I was doing quite a lot less trips away from home. At least in terms of the trips, I was going to places like Sheffield, Leeds, for example, but they either didn't require a rapid charge, which I'll talk a bit more about in a moment, or alternatively, I was able to get cheaper destination charging. The other thing as well is that I was doing a lot more of my regular commute during this time as well. If you then look at the 50 to 60,000 mile mark, I had a lot more trips away from home, which required a lot more expensive rapid charging, a lot less destination charging. I was also at home a lot less, so therefore I wasn't able to charge at home at my cheaper rate of electricity. And then in a lot of cases, even still, I reckon I could have probably just avoided rapid charging. I could have gone to, for example, a destination charger, which is a much cheaper rate. Or alternatively, I could have picked places where there were destination charging rather than pick the places which were rapid charging. So essentially, there are definitely options in that particular case. I would still recommend in this situation, if you have absolutely no option but to rapid charge with an electric vehicle, I have a feeling that the financial benefits just aren't there at the moment. Well, if you're buying it for personal mileage, at least, I'm guessing with salary sacrifice it is a little bit different. But for now, most certainly with the expensive rapid charging, it will likely come down as competition starts to increase, but currently it's just not really feasible. But if you do have access to a home charger or even actually destination charging at a subsidized or discounted rate, for example, it is most certainly still a much better value proposition. What have been the problems with my ZS EV over the last 20,000 miles? Now, unfortunately, there have been three distinct issues that have cropped up over the last 20,000 miles or so. First things first, the charge flap does not latch anymore. So when you push it in, for example, it doesn't actually close, it doesn't actually latch in position. This is somewhat of a common problem with the ZS EV, although the common problem in this case actually would have been the light more than anything. I'm quite surprised that it isn't latching at the moment. I will get that checked out on the next service, see if it can be actually fixed quite easily. With all of these things, however, it's probably more of a case of it doesn't actually affect any usability. It doesn't come up with an error, for example, that the charge flap's open. I think that's more of a bug on anything else rather than a feature, but I will get that looked into on the next service. The second thing, which is also a known problem with the ZS EV or the ZS petrol as well, is that the seats, the front driver's seat in particular, is starting to deteriorate. What I mean by that is that the vinyl leather or the fake leather essentially is starting to actually crack in certain points of it. Now, this is very unfortunate and very kind of disappointing, really. This car's only done 62,000 miles. That's not a lot of time, or 4 years. Now, this could be because I wear jeans quite a lot. I am a big fan of the of Levi's. Seriously, if Levi's wanted to sponsor me at this point, I'm all for it. But essentially, because of that, I do wear fabrics which are quite sort of hard wearing. And as a result, I would expect that that may be one of the reasons why, although it is still very disappointing. Finally, the gear selector, the park button, is also starting to deteriorate, unfortunately. It started to crack around the edges. Now, all of these things are fairly easily fixable by just getting, for example, replacement parts for them. I'd probably end up going to a breaker's yard to sort of get the cheaper parts and things like that and probably fit it myself. Might be actually a future video at some point. If, for example, they're pretty straightforward, I'll do that myself, and I will be having I will be getting someone to have a look at it at the service, which is coming up in the next 500 miles. In terms of battery state of health, we started doing that in the 40,000 mile update video. So this car, if you plug it into OVMS, I'm looking at a battery state of health of 86%. Now, this has actually reduced from the 40,000 mile update video. I believe it was 92% state of health, but essentially it's not too bad even still, and it's definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think if, for example, if you look at people who are not too much of a fan of EVs, at this point they would have said I had 2 battery replacements by now, and I'm certainly not replacing the battery anytime soon. Finally, what are the next 10,000 miles going to look like? Essentially, apart from maybe I'm not going to be going my regular commute as often, so maybe a couple of days a week it's going to be not there. I am still doing about 280 miles a week, so I am going to be racking up those miles and also saving up cash as well, which is obviously very good. But essentially, apart from the event, it is going to be pretty much same old. The only event that I'm not attending in the car is the Everything Electric London at the ExCeL Arena. I am really fed up of London driving at this point, so I'm not planning on doing that. The other thing as well is I am also planning on seeing my family back down in Yeovil in Somerset again. So that is another journey, which I'm probably going to be doing in the car. I'm still debating whether to take the train or whether to take the car at this point, but it is going to be pretty much same old, same old. So I think that's pretty much it. So if you liked the video or you found it informative, please give it a like, dislike it if you didn't. Please share this video to anyone with a Mark 1 ZS EV or who is considering purchasing a Mark 1 ZS EV, and it will actually let them know how it is in real life as well, which is excellent. Please share this video to anyone who is also considering going electric, for example. I do talk about the costs associated with that, which is good. And I think that is pretty much it. So thank you for watching and talk to you later.